firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
I like a good serial killer documentary. He hasn't taken the pounding that wide receivers take.
It's just a pound job, and guys are tired towards that 4 minutes.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
I would be lying to you if I said I had not heard things. They're like a bad rash. You hear a lot of things. Some are true, some aren't.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Thursday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us in what is my final show, really, of the off season. I'm taking off tomorrow night and next week, enjoying the last little vacation time that I get, because when I return on Monday, July 22nd, it'll be less than 48 hours until the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the field for their first day of training camp here in 2024. So because this is basically the final show of the offseason, I do want to take a look back at one of the most interesting and one of the most consequential offseasons the Jacksonville Jaguars have ever had in their 30-plus year existence. We got a lot of guests tonight. Cody Benjamin, CBSSports.com. Cody will face the music tonight. If you read his piece earlier in the week on CBS Sports about the top 20 edge pass rushers in the NFL, Joshua Hines Allen was not on that list. That is the first question I will ask Cody Benjamin. Cody's a friend. He volunteered to come on. So we're not going to be too harsh on him, but he'll explain his thought process on that, and we'll get into the Jaguars offseason. And we'll get into the Trevor Lawrence contract extension and the rest of the AFC South. So Cody Benjamin comes up in just a bit. Also, Brent Beard, you see him every week on First Coast News. You also get him right here on Hacker After Dark, as we'll preview SEC Media Days, which gets underway Monday in Dallas, Oklahoma, and Texas. Their first SEC Media Days. Billy Napier will be there. Kirby Smart will be there. First time in a while, Nick Saban will be there, but not as the head coach of Alabama. Saban will be there with ESPN, but obviously Kalen DeBoer is the brand new head coach of the Crimson Tide. So we'll do some SEC Media Days talk with my buddy Brent Beard. Also coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, Michael Penna of The Ringer, one of the best that comes to covering the NBA. He wrote a piece on Tuesday about how he thinks the Orlando Magic have won the NBA offseason. That piqued my interest. I reached out to Michael. We're going to get him on to explain that coming up later on in the 9 o'clock hour. So we're absolutely jam-packed. We are glad you are spending part of your Thursday evening with us. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do give you a big deal of the night. And Dylan Denmark, let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal? What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
All right. Basically the last show I got of the offseason, again, Monday, July 22nd. The week of training camp is officially here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So let's rewind the clock back for the last 6.5 months. And what a 6.5 months it was. It started right out of the gate. 24 hours after the loss to Tennessee, Mike Caldwell was fired along with the rest, or most of the rest, of the defensive staff. It took about a month there to hire Ryan Nielsen and to bring in his staff that he assembled. So you basically got 75-80% of a brand new defensive staff in place and a new defensive coordinator. You then fast forward to free agency and the acquisitions of Mitch Morse and Gabe Davis, the acquisitions of Darnell Savage and Ronald Darby and Devin Duvernay. That was on day one of free agency. Of course, day two found the Jaguars losing Calvin Ridley to the Tennessee Titans. That was certainly the downward spiral in free agency. Less than 24 hours later, though, the Jaguars signed Eric Armstead from San Francisco. So day one, you're an up. Day two, you were down. Day three, you came back up again. Free agency was an absolute roller coaster. Then you re-sign Joshua Hines Allen to the 5-year contract extension. You get him locked up long term. That was a huge deal this offseason. Then the NFL draft, Brian Thomas comes on board along with his college teammates, Mason Smith and Jordan Jefferson. Mix in a Jarian Jones, DeAndre Prince, just to name a few. I thought the draft was pretty good for Jacksonville. After the draft, of course, the big news of Trevor Lawrence getting his contract extension. And then the biggest news of all this offseason, the Jacksonville City Council passing the Stadium of the Future. All it'll take now is a mere formality in October for the NFL owners to pass it. And the Jacksonville Jaguars will have that brand new stadium beginning in 2028. I just summed up the last 6.5 months in about 2 minutes. But there was a ton that went on from January 8th to where we are now on July 11th. What will it mean when the season actually starts? Well, we're going to find out very soon. But we know the amount of turnover on this roster. We know the amount of new guys that are here and the amount of guys that are no longer here. I mean, think of the names that are gone. Rayshawn Jenkins is gone. Foley Fatukasi is gone. Darius Williams, gone. Zay Jones, Calvin Ridley, Trey Herndon, Jamal Agnew, DeJuan Smoot, Kayvon Chason. I mean, say what you will about some of those guys, but those guys played a lot of football in Jaguar uniforms. In DeJuan Smoot's case, he played a ton of football in a Jaguar uniform. So not only the new guys that have come in, but the guys that you lost. And then you think about the rest of the division. We'll talk about this with Cody Benjamin of CBSSports.com coming up in less than 10 minutes. You think about what Houston did with Stephon Diggs, Danico Autry, Joe Mixon, Danielle Hunter. Most people will tell you the Texans won the offseason. Did they? That's to be seen, but I certainly like what they did. It would be hard not to like what Houston did. That is probably why an overwhelming majority will have Houston as the favorite in the AFC South. Although I would caution them a bit on that. That first place schedule is no joke. And I believe there's like a 10 or 12 day period this year where Houston plays Kansas City, Miami, and Baltimore in the span of less than 14 days. Yikes. So we'll see how good the Texans are with that schedule. Anthony Richardson returns in Indianapolis. It'll be fascinating to see what happens there. And then Tennessee, they spent gobs and gobs of money on the likes of Calvin Ridley, L'Jarius Sneed, Tony Pollard, Kenneth Murray, Tyler Boyd, Lloyd Cushenberry. They brought in a ton of guys. Chidobe Awuzie as well. And, by the way, the Titans just signed veteran Jamal Adams today. Does Jamal Adams have anything left? I don't know. He's only 28. Now, he's had a ton of injuries for a guy that's only 28. But the Titans have completely remade that secondary with Awuzie, with L'Jarius Sneed, and with Jamal Adams. So the offseason was wild. The offseason was crazy. You could argue there was more movement in the AFC South with the 4 teams in that division than any other division. What will it mean? Well, I can't wait. I can't wait for training camp to get here. I can't wait for the preseason to get here. And I certainly cannot wait for the regular season to get here. Looking forward to vacation, but make no mistake about it. When I return on July the 22nd, it's go time, man. They will be on the field. The Jaguars will be for their first training camp practice on Wednesday, July the 24th. We will be down there every single day. We will have interviews every single day. And I'm very fired up for football to be returning here in 2024. But we got a lot to get into tonight before vacation. Again, Brent Beard previewing SEC Media Days. That comes up in about a half an hour or so. Coming up next, Cody Benjamin, CBSSports.com. He is one of their main NFL writers. They're on CBS Sports. Haven't talked to him basically the entire offseason. So I'll catch up with Cody about the Lawrence extension, about the Jaguar movement in free agency, about the wide receiver room. You go from Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, and Jamal Agnew to Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas, and Devin Duvernay. Pros and cons of that. pros and cons on the amount of turnover on the defensive side of the ball. There's a lot to get into. It's all Jaguars all the time for the next half an hour. Cody Benjamin, CBS Sports, next on a Thursday night in Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us. With Dylan Denmark, the hacker Ryan Green with you. It's 1010XL, 92.5 FM. It's Hacker After Dark.
Jeff Prosser.
I'd like to hear some kind of an explanation.
Now, don't let your temper guide your thinking.
Temper? What do you mean temper? I know what I'm doing.
Mornings on the drill.
How could you humiliate me in front of the whole town like that?
On 1010XL.
I wouldn't back down now if my life depended on it.
Hacker here with a little nugget for you. I just took my wedding ring off for the first time in 9 years. No, there's not trouble in paradise. Get this. My wedding ring was falling off. I've lost so much weight, my ring couldn't keep up. But hold up. I'm not resisting it just yet. Why? Because I'm still losing weight with Awaken 180. Down 75 pounds so far, and every week the scale shows a lighter number. Once I do reach my goal weight, however, that's when I'll resize that sucker and put it back on for good. I say for good because the weight stays off with Awaken 180. It's a lifestyle change. Or, should I say, a lifestyle enhancer. That's combined with free support for life, and I'm confident I'll keep the weight off like all the other Awaken 180 clients. Mike Dempsey and Matt Hayes still receive free support when they need it, and yep, the weight has stayed off on them. The stories aren't stories. They're real accounts. What's stopping you? Go online. Awaken180weightloss.com.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Julington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
July 11, 1914, future Baseball Hall of Fame slugger Babe Ruth makes his MLB debut as a pitcher for the Boston Red Sox. Earns a 4-3 win against Cleveland.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool? Today's challenger, a paint color namer from Jacksonville, Florida. Meet Irving Stapler.
Hi, Howie.
So the next round is word association. I'll say a word and you give me the first word you think of. Engagement ring.
Jeweler.
Gas station.
Fueler.
Aaron Burr.
Dueler?
Air conditioning.
Wow. Jeez. It's a toughie.
Come on, Irv. The sponsor's gonna kill me now.
Oh, Bueller.
That's right, Irv. If your AC is struggling through the summer heat, the first name you should think of for fast, friendly, 5-star service is Bueller Air and Plumbing. The name to know to make sure you are cool. Have a beer, Irv.
Cooler.
Stay cooler with Bueller. Visit BuellerAir.com.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
Expert Automotive is ready to keep you cool this summer. Right now, get an AC inspection or a system cooling checkup. Your choice for only $19.99. Their gift to you this summer is $50 off any service and a free tire rotation with any service. Their ASE certified technicians can keep your car cool without breaking the bank this summer. Call them at 374-3373 to get an appointment today. Expert Automotive. They never sell greed, only what you need.
Let's go!
Help cheer your Sharks on to victory as they battle the Green Bay Blizzards in exciting IFL football action this Saturday, July 13th, 7 o'clock in the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Now, check out our new family pack. You get 4 tickets, 4 vouchers, and a $25 Al's Pizza gift card. It's a great deal. To purchase yours or to get more information, call 904-621-0700. And ho, ho, ho! Who's ready for Christmas in July?
A little Christmas music, maestro?
Whether you're on the naughty or nice list, come out and support your Sharks. You never know, you might get a chance to say hi to Santa.
It's almost Christmas.
All we want for Christmas is a Sharks win. Check out our post-game autograph session and see if the players and dancers are asking for the same present as you.
Let's go!
Don't miss the fun and excitement of Sharks football this Saturday, July 13th. For tickets, go to jacksharks.com or call 621-0700. That's 904-621-0700. Let's go!
Let's go! Pickett here for Bout 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bout 9. Visit Bout 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bout 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. We are on the doorstep of training camp. Hard to believe the first preseason game comes up Thursday night, August the 1st, the Hall of Fame game. Of course, the Jaguars are on the field Saturday, August 10th for their preseason opener. Let's talk Jaguars. Let's talk this offseason. Let's look around the AFC South with my buddy Cody Benjamin. He does a great job for CBSSports.com, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Cody, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Ryan. Thanks so much for having me back on.
Hey, Cody, we always appreciate it. All right, first and foremost, let's get it out there for Jaguar fans. Your top 20 edge pass rushing rankings on CBSSports.com. You now have Joshua Hines-Allen on that list. I know some Jaguar fans probably gave you some feedback on that one. Just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of those cases where I think, transparency is key here. Josh Hines-Allen now, definitely not an intentional omission on that top 20 list. So if you are a Jaguars fan, you saw the list and you were irate, good for you, because it has prompted us to assess. It's not that we're changing what we had, it's that we're putting him where he should have been. And so you could still nitpick, I think, with where you want to place him, among your top 20 elite edge rushers in the game. But no doubt he's on the list. What you're looking for now from a Jacksonville perspective is, can he stay consistent? Because obviously that sack number went way up this past year. Can you duplicate that? Can you sustain that momentum as kind of the chief pass rusher on a good defensive line? And so I think that's going to be a key here. But when I look at the Jaguars, I mean, beyond that list, beyond that position, my eyes are all over, I think, as everyone's are, Trevor Lawrence, the offense, and where that's headed, because I think it's going to be so key to where they end up in the AFC South.
Cody, it was a crazy offseason here. From the stadium getting passed, it just needs NFL owner approval, so that gives this city some security with a 30-year brand-new lease, and that stadium of the future going to start getting constructed in the 2026-2027 time frame. The Josh Allen contract extension, the Trevor Lawrence contract extension. Let's begin there. How vital was it, in your opinion, for the Jaguars to get their two franchise guys, Allen and Lawrence, locked up for the long term?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where obviously the market is, you had plenty of instant reactions on both sides with Trevor Lawrence's deal, especially. Is he worth this dollar amount? Frankly, if you know that you like your guy, if you know that you want to lock him up, like if you're leaning more than 50%, generally speaking, it's better just to do the deal, because at some point, that market is going to escalate, and either you're going to have a discount, from the team side, you're going to have a team-friendly deal in a few years, or if in 3 years you need to get out of it, at least you've gotten a head start on it. I mean, it's just the way the business works. And so with Trevor Lawrence, it's really you're essentially you're betting on the continued development here, and we saw obviously a regression last year in terms of the turnovers, the ball security, the comfort, and the chemistry with the wide receivers in that offense. But I think it's the right move. I mean, you're not gonna find an alternative that's going to give you more upside at that position. And so I think that, it's the right move. It's the bet for now and the future. And a lot comes down to the chemistry with the new receiving core and whoever's calling the plays there on offense.
Cody Benjamin, CBSSports.com, here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville as we are on the doorstep of Jaguar training camp. Cody, I got a picture last year at training camp of the wide receivers, and in that photo, it was Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, and Jamal Agnew. And I remember thinking at the time, man, this could be quite the foursome for the next couple of years. And now 75% of those guys are gone, right? Yeah. Ridley is in Nashville. Zay Jones got cut. He's in Arizona. Agnew was not brought back. And in that wide receiver room now, Christian Kirk is the only holdover. You go out and you bring in Gabe Davis. You draft Brian Thomas in the first round. And I'm going to lump Devin Duvernay in there, the all-pro kick returner from Baltimore who signed in free agency. I think he is going to be the new and improved, quite frankly, Jamal Agnew in this offense. What's your thought on the wide receiver room now that they have here with the Jaguars?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think that when you acquire Calvin Ridley, ideally you're looking at that as more than a one-year bet, but it's a reset. I mean, I think Christian Kirk is a little underrated league-wide, especially if he can stay healthy. I mean, he was reliable, and so with Gabe Davis, you're kind of replacing that speed element with Calvin Ridley. I think Duvernay, like you said, a little bit of an underrated addition as well if he can pan out. And then Brian Thomas gives you kind of that ideal body type with the speed. So it's a projection, but I think that if you look around the NFL at just the wide receiver cores in terms of upside, I think that they're up there. I think they can they can be an above average unit. It's just more so with Doug Peterson and Press Taylor, there's some deliberation, I think, about who's really going to be in charge of the offense. We've seen that kind of change hands the last few years. So I'm interested to see who is actually orchestrating this wide receiver core, the connection between Lawrence and his new weapons. We'll see how that pans out.
Cody, you cover the league on a national basis. I'm curious. The not everybody nationally, but the vibe I've gotten is that we like the Gabe Davis signing a lot more locally than people do nationally. And I understand maybe he didn't live up to the expectations in Buffalo, but the guy just turned 25. He's got 28 career touchdowns. I mean, he's out from behind Stephon Diggs there in Buffalo. I don't know why that got so panned as it did. I think that's a pretty good signing with that value, to be honest. 3 years, $39 million. What is your thought on Davis in particular?
Yeah, I think that the value is just fine. I think that I guess maybe where I would see the other side coming in is primarily because you're losing Calvin Ridley, and so you're asking him to step in and immediately. And I know that the Calvin Ridley experiment, I mean, I don't know how you would see it, but it was reasonably successful when he and Lawrence were on the same page, when everyone was healthy. But obviously it wasn't a long-term, neither side saw it, I guess, as a long-term partnership. So I think that Gabe Davis perfectly adequate, I mean, more than adequate as a speed threat secondary option. Like I don't necessarily think you want in 2024, even at his age, I don't necessarily think you want Gabe Davis being your, the guy out wide, like the number one wide receiver. And we saw that in Buffalo, when Stephon Diggs wasn't necessarily at the peak of his game. Was Gabe Davis taking over games? He actually did a few times. But again, I think it's more so just, people wanting they had such high expectations, I think, for what the Jaguars were going to be last year, that the fact that it didn't necessarily end in Lawrence being an MVP and the Jaguars making a deep run, I think there's just high expectations. And so Gabe Davis, I think it's an absolutely solid, you're hitting a double there, getting him as your number 2 wide receiver. So much then depends, though, on Brian Thomas, being a good number 3. And I know that Evan Ingram is there as well. So, it's a long-winded way of saying I think it was a perfectly solid move. I think if you're expecting him to come in and, give you all pro production, that's another thing. But, perfectly fine number 2 wide receiver move there.
A couple of more for Cody Benjamin of CBSSports.com. Yeah, when the Jaguars are in, a 5 wide receiver personnel, the thought of Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas, potentially Evan Ingram, and either Travis Etienne or Devin Duvernay. I mean, they got some talent. There's no question. It's going to come down to that offensive line. Hopefully Mitch Morse can help that offensive line who, quite frankly, struggled. The whole unit did at the end of last year. Defensively, Cody, a brand-new coordinator in Ryan Nielsen and a lot of new guys, man, from Eric Armstead to Ronald Darby, Darnell Savage. You look in the Travis Gibson as well. You look in the draft, I mean, Mason Smith, Jarian Jones, Jordan Jefferson, DeAndre Prince. Have the Jaguars done enough on defense, in your opinion, to fix what was certainly a problem the last month and a half last year?
Well, this is, I guess, maybe where, and I don't want to say more concern lies, because I do think at the end of the day, it's an offensive league. If Trevor Lawrence, if that offense under Doug Peterson, if they are clicking, I like the Jaguars' chances. And so I do think more weight is on the offense. But I guess if you were to ask me, where am I more concerned about upgrades actually being made? I would say on defense. I mean, every rookie, no matter what round, is a projection. And if you look at just their lineup, I mean, it's not a bad lineup. You've got, we talked about Josh Hines-Allen, Eric Armstead. That's a proven guy. If he's healthy up front, that can help the trenches there. There are names on the starting lineup, but in some of those spots where they changed starters or in quotes upgraded starters, there I think you're working with a little more, I would say lateral moves as opposed to clear-cut upgrades. I mean, Darnell Savage, swapped in at safety. Ronald Darby. I mean, those are guys to me that profile more as plug and play, 1 year. 2-year maybe rentals. And so can they help keep the ship afloat? Certainly. Is it like the Jaguars really took the defense up a notch? I don't see it that way. But again, so much of it I think comes back to the quarterback, the offensive line, to weapons, how the offense is functioning. And so if the defense can be competent, I think the Jaguars have a chance.
Cody, as we begin to wrap up, the interesting thing here is training camp's set to begin very shortly. When the final 53-man roster at the end of August, they're probably going to have upwards of 15 to 20 new guys on this roster that were not here in 2023. I mean, you're talking almost 40% of the roster will be new. That's certainly quite the overhaul from what they did a year ago. Are they better? Are they better right now, at least on paper, than they were when they walked off the field in Nashville, Week 18, losing out on the playoffs?
Oh, that's a great question. And honestly, I think the fact that there isn't necessarily a clear answer there, I think it shows just, what I don't want to say weird year, but pivotal year this is. And certainly not for Trevor Lawrence necessarily. I mean, they just locked him up. He's not going anywhere. And I don't think Doug Peterson is going anywhere either. But I do think this is it's a fork in the road kind of for this Jaguars team, because, we look around the AFC South and, everyone's talking about Houston. Well, they're going all in to give CJ Stroud some help, with DeMeco Ryans. It's like the arrow is only pointing up there. In Indianapolis, there's some, I think, general optimism about what Shane Steichen can do, especially if Anthony Richardson can stay healthy. And then Tennessee, they surprised me even, I guess, with the veteran commitments they made in the offseason to try and, see what they have in Will Levis. And so I think for all three of those teams, there's a cautious optimism at least. And that was probably the position we were in, if not more hype, for the Jaguars last year. We saw Doug Peterson get something out of Trevor Lawrence. The arrow was pointing up, and then last year was a little bit flat overall, and injuries were a part of that. But now you're going into, year 3 of the Peterson-Lawrence pairing. The roster upgrades like we talked about. I mean, even if you love Gabe Davis, I think it was more of a, we're making marginal upgrades here and across the board. And so we're kind of banking on Trevor Lawrence staying healthier, making better decisions, there being better chemistry in the offense, maybe some slight upgrades in the defensive front. But I don't know. I don't know if they're like miles ahead of where they were. Maybe just the fact that Trevor Lawrence has some time off to recover, to be healthy. Maybe that's the best thing they have going for them. But it is a big year. And if you look around the division, there's kind of intrigue for all 4 teams.
Cody Benjamin, CBSSports.com. Cody, final question. It was a crazy offseason. It always is. Give me a team from a national basis that you think improved the most this offseason. Give me a team that you think lost the offseason.
Lost the offseason. I mean, the Cowboys are an easy target just because that's a team that even now still you've got a lot of playmakers. I mean, premier playmakers: CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs. I mean, Dak Prescott. I mean, those are guys that most teams would kill to have those guys. But when you're in that position on the doorstep, to not really make any move of substance, I mean, unless you consider, bringing back Ezekiel Elliott or adding Eric Kendricks at linebacker. I mean, not needle moving moves. And so to do that and then to allow Dak Prescott, at least for now, to enter a contract year, maybe they re-sign him, but you just don't let a quarterback, I guess, reach that point unless you're prepared to let him hit the market. And so they're putting a lot of pressure on Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy this year. Maybe it works, but I think that Dallas that was a team that, you make a real upgrade somewhere, make a splash, manipulate the cap in some way. And we're talking about you again as a real contender. So that's a team that maybe missed out a little bit. In terms of teams, that actually aced it, I know Houston is we're bordering on over hype for Houston at this point, but Stephon Diggs, that bet to me is precisely the kind of rental you take to try and elevate your quarterback, similar to what Buffalo did when they acquired Diggs from Minnesota. And then defensively, I mean, adding Danielle Hunter, adding some more physicality at linebacker. I think the arrow is only pointing up for the Texans.
Cody, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville what you have coming out on CBSSports.com in the coming days and weeks as training camps begin to open.
Yeah, the big one today on CBSSports.com, and I promise the Jaguars aren't left out of this one. We've got a head coach ranking, so we're going through all 32 coaches, kind of sorting them by class. So you've got the unproven and the underwhelming guys. You've got kind of that middle tier of accomplished coaches, but with some big question marks. And then you've got like the undeniable elite coaches. And so we've broken it into 3 classes and ranked all 32. I could spoil, I guess, where the Jaguars are, or you could go check out that ranking at CBSSports.com.
There you go. Cody Benjamin, CBSSports.com, always kind enough to give us some time here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Cody, I know you're busy. Thank you. Hard to believe training camp is here, man. We'll talk again real soon.
Sounds good. Thanks so much.
There you go. Cody Benjamin of CBSSports.com here with us on Hacker After Dark. And I think it's interesting as I talk to a lot of these national guys and have talked to a lot of these guys, whether it's Pro Football Focus, Sports Illustrated, CBS Sports, former players, you name it. It's kind of a mixed bag. When I ask them, are the Jaguars better now than they were when they walked off the field in Nashville on January 7th? I think by and large, most people feel they are better, but there is still some question. Like, are they better in the secondary? Well, I don't know that. I mean, Rayshon Jenkins, Darius Williams, Trey Herndon gone. In comes Darnell Savage, Ronald Darby, and rookie Jarian Jones. Can you with 100% certainty say they're better? Antonio Johnson, another year in the system. Tyson Campbell's healthy. But they are young at corner. Make no mistake about it. After Campbell and after Darby, there's just not a lot of experience at corner. Are they clearly better on the offensive line? Well, one would hope so. But again, the only guy they brought in was Mitch Morse. And they're going to go to battle with Cam Robinson, Ezra Cleveland, Brandon Sheriff, and Anton Harrison, guys that played a ton of football here in Jacksonville last year. So I believe they're better. I believe they believe they're better, but I can understand some of the questions out there. Is it relative? How much better did the Jaguars get this offseason? The beauty of that is we're going to find out very quickly, as the first training camp practice is now only 13 days away. More on the National Football League coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. In fact, we'll wrap up our NFC South preview tonight as well. We've already made stops in Tampa, in New Orleans, and in Atlanta. Tonight we'll wrap it up in Charlotte with the Carolina Panthers. Alex Zetlow of the Charlotte Observer, one of our guys up there in Carolina, he will join us. Brand new head coach for the Panthers, and year 2 for Bryce Young. Look, Bryce Young was not good last year. Certainly when you compare him to the guy that was taken right after him in C.J. Stroud. And keep in mind, Bryce Young is the reason Carolina doesn't have Caleb Williams, because they gave Chicago another first-round pick that turned into Caleb Williams. So it is a gigantic year for Bryce Young. We'll talk with Alex Zetlow of the Charlotte Observer about Carolina and where they are heading into 2024 in the NFC South. But coming up next, SEC Media Days next week, beginning Monday in Dallas. We will have coverage certainly all week long here on 1010XL. Let's talk Florida. Let's talk Georgia. Let's talk the newcomers, Oklahoma and Texas. And let's talk about the big storylines going into Media Days next week with my buddy Brent Beard. You get him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. It's a Thursday evening in the city of Jacksonville, and we're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Where beating and banging is no harm, no foul.
Beats and bangs his way to turn 20.
This Sunday at Pocono Raceway. Brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipefitters Local Union 234. From Jacksonville's NASCAR station, 1010XL.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here for John's Auto. They've been a staple in Jacksonville going all the way back to 1985. At John's Auto, they service all makes, all models, cars, trucks, diesel, you name it, they do it. Whether it's routine maintenance or a complete engine overhaul. Call John's Auto on Arlington Road. That's 904-743-3857 or go to johnsautomotivejacks.com.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like, 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
The Tom Coughlin J Fund helps families battling childhood cancer, and there are ways you can help. Go to tcjfund.org.
City Rescue Mission has been providing food, clothing, and love for over 70 years to the homeless in Jacksonville. If someone you know is struggling, learn more about the City Rescue Mission at crmjax.org.
You have healing power. Even writing a letter or volunteering can help heal a veteran. Find out more at healvets.org.
If you know someone with cancer and no insurance, call the U.S. Uninsured Helpline at 800-234-1317.
Hope Haven believes in children and youth with special needs and abilities and has developed programs to help ensure their success. Find out more about their employment services and internship program at hope-haven.org.
If you're involved in a community event and you'd like us to help spread the word, find out how at 1010XL.com.
Did you know a metal roof from Prime Roofing will last 2 to 3 times longer than a shingle roof? If you want a better roof, think metal. Think Prime Roofing. Schedule your free estimate today at primeroofingfl.com. That's primeroofingfl.com.
Nothing came easy, and he wouldn't have it any other way.
It's blue-collar line of scrimmage football. I'm Tom McManus, and I join Jaguars Today, Fridays from 10 to noon.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Nothing has a 10-year warranty except for a new AC unit from Vons. V-O-N-S. Vons Amazing 10. This is legit. A full 10-year warranty. It covers parts, labor, and refrigerant. That's an unmatched commitment they make to their customers, while others will charge extra for weekend and same-day emergencies. Not at Vons. No extra charges. Just great service when you need it, whether your unit needs to be repaired or replaced. Remember, if your AC won't turn on, just call Vons.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Former Jaguars corner and first-year head football coach at Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows, K-12, Aaron Beasley here. Are you looking for an A-rated K-12 school prioritizing academics, arts, and athletics? Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows offers a rigorous curriculum to develop strong minds with an additional focus on growing good hearts. DCSB has been an A school for 8 years, and our tuition is free. Now enrolling. Apply at baymeadowscharter.org.
Sports fans, JJ LaSalva here. When I need to send my bride flowers or a plant for birthdays or anniversaries, I always go with Hume Flowers. After all, they've been the leading florist in these parts for over 75 years. You can always rely on Hume Flowers.
Let's go! Help cheer your Sharks on to victory as they battle the Green Bay Blizzards in exciting IFL football action this Saturday, July 13th, 7 o'clock in the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Now, check out our new family pack. You get 4 tickets, 4 vouchers, and a $25 Al's Pizza gift card. It's a great deal. To purchase yours or to get more information, call 904-621-0700. And ho, ho, ho! Who's ready for Christmas in July?
A little Christmas music, maestro?
Whether you're on the naughty or nice list, come out and support your Sharks. You never know, you might get a chance to say hi to Santa.
It's almost Christmas.
All we want for Christmas is a Sharks win. Check out our post-game autograph session and see if the players and dancers are asking for the same present as you.
Let's go!
Don't miss the fun and excitement of Sharks football this Saturday, July 13th. For tickets, go to jacksharks.com or call 621-0700. That's 904-621-0700. Let's go!
Let's go! 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us as college football is getting ever so much closer. In fact, SEC Media Days next week in Dallas. Kind of a welcoming for the Oklahoma Sooners, and the Texas Longhorns have now officially entered the Southeastern Conference. Who will the media pick to win the SEC? What are some of the big storylines that will take place at Media Days next week? With all that, my buddy Brent Beard, you see him locally on First Coast News, and you get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, how are you, sir?
Well, it is exciting to know that the SEC is on board. We've had the Big 12 already, and we're just kind of going on down the line. So it's a great time of year, particularly for media members who have not had a lot to talk about over the last few weeks, so that will take care of itself very soon.
It's been in Hoover, Alabama for years. It's branched out to Nashville, I think Atlanta a year or two, and now it goes to Dallas. And Brent, obviously, the reason it's in Dallas is the welcoming of Oklahoma and Texas, correct?
Yes, no doubt. That is the reason that they are there. Now, my understanding is from this week is that next year it's probably back in Atlanta, and then it will be in Nashville, I believe, following that. And I hope at some point that Hoover gets back into the rotation. They deserve that after hosting it for so many years, and they need to find a hotel that will be able to deal with it. But at the same time, I hope this doesn't become a circus. And what I mean by that is I hope this doesn't start going to the highest bidder, and it ends up in, say, Madison Square Garden in New York City, or I won't be surprised if it ends up in Las Vegas at some point, because, I mean, the main gist of this is you've got media from the Southeast who are converging on to cover the upcoming season, so they've got to be taken into some consideration with this. But yes, Dallas, and as if there need to be anything else going on, next week is also the All-Star game. And I'm guessing that's in Arlington, which is not exactly in Dallas, but is close enough and to cause some traffic difficulties during that time.
You get Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. All right, Brent, storylines next week in Dallas. Let's begin with the obvious, the arrival of Texas and Oklahoma. What do you think the biggest story regarding those two teams will be as they enter the conference?
Well, I mean, there'll be a lot of reaction type stuff from the coaches and the players, how cool it is to be in the SEC. So there'll be some of that talk, and how competitive and quickly can you guys be. And I think Texas will, I believe, may even be a playoff team in the first year with Sarkisian at the helm, Quinn Ewers, and they do lose some players like Devonta Sweat, who's about 360 but can still move. So that will be interesting to see where that goes too. And I don't think Oklahoma is ready for the playoffs yet. I believe they'll be better defensively. But I think as much as anything, it will be just the fact that some of the most well-known programs in the nation will be joining the SEC.
Certainly a lot of newness when it comes to Texas and Oklahoma at SEC Media Days. It'll be odd. No Nick Saban at SEC Media Days. I remember all those years in Hoover. It was like the seas parted when Nick Saban walked into the lobby.
Yes.
Obviously, he had that aura in Atlanta and Nashville as well. Kalen DeBoer enters the fray of the SEC Media Days. Your thoughts on the first Media Days in a long time without Nick Saban?
I think, well, first of all, he will be there with ESPN. Now, I'll be curious if at one point they put him on the podium and just let him take questions. And because of his work in game day on Saturdays now, they might even do that. And so he will be around, but won't be the number one coach they want to hear from. I think Kalen DeBoer will be fine. He's very people and fan and player. He treats people well. He responds to them. He's not just a guy who is kind of he keeps people at arm's length. He's been very, believe it or not, very accommodating to the media. And I think that the fan base too. So, and he's been in big programs. I mean, when you're in the national championship game, you get it. So, frankly, I think he'll do fine in front of the media.
Another guy that won't be at SEC Media Days, Jimbo Fisher, year one of Mike Elko at Texas A&M. And look, it's in Dallas, right? It's all about the Longhorns and the Sooners, and the Aggies are saying, wait a minute, what about us? Certainly a big week for A&M and their brand-new head coach, Mike Elko.
Well, it will be, and I like Elko, and I think he will be fine all the way. Now, we don't know who the quarterback is, but they are bringing some good players with them. Shamir Turner on the defensive line, Turian York at linebacker, and Trey Zune at offensive line. They usually have some really good skill position players, so I'm a little bit surprised that they are not coming. But A&M will be asked about Texas, and they'll be diplomatic about it. But I can tell you this, they don't like it because they were promised Texas would never come in before they got in. So I'll tell you this, and this is more than rumor, is there is some talk about the Big Ten being interested in A&M and A&M being interested in the Big Ten. So that's not going to happen tomorrow because the Big Ten's, I think, about to bring in Florida State. But that's something to keep in mind. That's how deep that Texas rivalry goes.
You see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also hear him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Kirby Smart will hold court as he does every year for the last several years. Obviously, the terrific job he's done at the University of Georgia. Brent, everybody expects great things out of Georgia. What do you think the biggest storylines around the Dogs will be next week in Dallas?
Well, probably can they get back to number one again? And Kirby won't have any part of that, and he'll just throw that off. But, I mean, they've got some weaknesses. In their secondary, they're not as deep as they want to be. Malachi Starks is really good, but they need more guys around him. Carson Beck will get a lot of attention, and he deserves it because he may be the Heisman Trophy winner and the number one pick. One thing to keep in mind, they're going to host Marshall in 2025 in their opener. The game with UCLA in the Rose Bowl has been replaced by Marshall, so they won't be playing them. So tell me what this sounds like to you. Georgia's on-conference schedule in 2025 is Marshall, Austin Peay, Charlotte, and Georgia Tech. So they go back to this easy non-conference schedule. Now, they will play Clemson this year, and fortunately, they will play Alabama in September. They will play Texas in Austin in October, and then they'll be playing Ole Miss in November. So if you're looking for Georgia to have a hard schedule, enjoy this year more than others. So, and look, some of these non-conference games are being canceled. We mentioned Georgia. Florida's had the Cal Series canceled, and one of the reasons for that, I believe, is going to be not only expansion in the SEC is only dormant, not dead, but they're also considering going to 9 SEC games during the season, and they may make that change in 2026.
I saw 4 SEC teams, Georgia, Florida, and 2 others, also canceled games against West Coast teams as well. So that's been a common occurrence here in the last couple of days. Speaking of the Gators, one would think the biggest storylines for Florida next week, Brent, will be the schedule, as if we haven't talked enough about it the entire offseason. And quite honestly, Billy Napier's job security as we enter the 24 campaign.
Yeah, that won't stop. There's no doubt about that. I mean, what he needs to talk about is bringing Ron Roberts in to help the defense and how good this offense really could be before it's over. They brought some NFL guys over for the special teams, so I think that's what they'll end up talking about. as much as anything else. It's a crucial year. They all know that. And frankly, for Napier, Hank, in his opening remarks, he probably would be pretty smart to deal with that and just say, look, we made these improvements. We know what we need to do, and this is how we're going to get it done. So it'll be interesting to see how he deals with it.
Brent, outside of Billy Napier, because obviously we've talked a lot about that, is there any other coach that needs to fight for his job to be back at Media Days in 2025?
Sam Pittman at Arkansas.
Yeah.
Is the logical one. I don't think anybody will be brave enough to do it, but I mean, the obvious question you ask in the hallway is, do they bring Bobby Petrino in case they had to get rid of Pittman and make him the coach again? That'd be some story, would it not? But no, I mean, everybody at Clark Lee, I mean, you've got to leave Clark Lee alone, let them build the stadium and see what he can do. But otherwise, I mean, just thinking out loud.
Is the luster off of South Carolina?
That's an astute question. I don't think, unless they have a disaster, that they're going to fire him. But here's your reality. They have really done nothing since, you remember he had the year where he beat Clemson and Florida and some of the better teams in November. And it looked like they were going somewhere. But, I mean, look, they've lost people to just about every school in the league. So right now, I mean, I just don't see it, Hank. Do you? I mean, they're just is not. They don't have the players. They certainly don't have the excitement. I give those fans credit. They're passionate and they want to win. But no, I'm with you. I'll say this: a bad year won't get him fired, but it would get him on the hot seat, yes.
Yeah, Shane Beamer there at South Carolina. I remember they came to the Gator Bowl, right? They played Notre Dame, and it was a great game, and that seems like a long time ago because they did not have the year that they had hoped to have last season. Final moments with Brent Beard. You see him on First Coast News. You get him weekly here as well on Hacker After Dark. All right, Brent, SEC Media Days. The media votes, obviously, at the end. You're friends with a lot of these guys. I'm friends with a lot of these guys. Is it as simple as Georgia and Texas are going to be 1, 2, and who do you think would fall in line, maybe 3, 4, and 5 when the votes come out next week?
Well, it's going to be some combination of Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss, Missouri. And again, we've got to change our thinking. Our thinking is going to be not necessarily who's number one, but if you're, I mean, realistically for the SEC, if you're in the top 4 and even the top 5, you've got a shot to get into the playoffs. So that's what's going to be changing that we're looking forward to would be it'll be just the shell game of where you want to put them. But that's a good thing is that takes pressure off teams like Ole Miss, Missouri, are probably never going to get into a Final 4, but you could get into a Final 12. I'm just telling you, we look forward to this for a long time. That's going to the expanded playoffs is going to revolutionize college football.
Brent, as we wrap up, we got about 2 minutes to go. There's some news coming out in the last 24 hours or so that's pretty interesting regarding expansion, conference expansion. You know, what a shocker there. But this is surrounding potentially the Big 12 and surrounding some pretty big-time programs, one of which is very local to us. What are you hearing?
Florida State, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Miami, according to reports, are in deep talks with the Big 12. They've got some kind of private equity deal that would make these schools the richest in college football. That sounds good, but a lot of this is just not going to happen. Notre Dame's not going to the Big 12. They make less money. They're just not going to do it. Notre Dame, if they go anywhere, is going to the Big 10. I think Florida State's going to the Big 10, and they're going to announce before August 15th that they're leaving the conference. Clemson's a little bit more up in the air. Now, I'm not saying that Florida State couldn't go to the SEC, but what I've tracked for the last virtually year, it's going to be the Big 10. Now, Miami's another story. If Miami gets an invite to the Big 12, they need to go. It's going to be more money. The conference will be more solidified than the ACC is. So when this comes down to it, look, we don't know what's going to happen, but in dealing with this, that's the logic. FSU, the Big 10, Clemson, Big 10 or SEC, Notre Dame Independent, and Miami to the Big 12. I think that's how that's going to work.
Brent, really quick, we got about 30 seconds. I'm going to go a little over here. Is it a situation of survival at this point for the Big 12 and the ACC? Are they in a race against each other to be the third conference?
No doubt. Absolutely. Which makes you wonder if they don't need to do something themselves and just combine forces. That would make some sense, too, if they were able to do that. But it absolutely is. Which, again, if you're not in the Power Four, what are you going to do? So, and again, some of these schools, like South Florida, Memphis, may end up in the ACC, which would be a good deal for them, but there are a lot of chess pieces waiting to move.
You get Brent Beard every week here on Hacker After Dark. You also see him on First Coast News. Brent, always enjoy it, my friend. Thank you. I'm on a little vacation next week, actually going to your home state, the state of Alabama. I'll say hello to everybody for you out there, but you and I will reconvene in a couple of weeks, and at that point, we will be inside of a month away from the beginning of college football. Thank you as always, pal.
Enjoy it, pal. Take care.
He's the toughest guy on our team.
Thinks he's Rambo.
Tom McManus.
Rambo is a...
Fridays on Jaguars Today, 10 to noon on the flagship station of the Jaguars, 1010XL.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. You know, I started with them on February 20th, so we're about 4.5 months in. I've lost 80 pounds on that program. I've lost 8 inches in my waist. I went from a size 46 pants to a size 38 pants. And it's all thanks to the best weight loss program I've ever been on. I had to lose a ton of weight. You guys saw me on the stream. I knew I needed to lose a ton of weight. I heard Mike Dempsey, I heard Matt Hayes talk about Awaken 180. I talked with them about it. I got involved with Awaken 180. And now here I am, 80 pounds lighter in 4.5 months. If you need to lose weight like I needed to, do yourself a favor. Make the call. 844-346-1800 or visit their website, awaken180weightloss.com. That program is changing lives. I'm one of them. You could be the next. Trust me, Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, Prime Men's Medical Center will get your sex life back in just one visit. Their painless, breakthrough medical treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Prime Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Prime Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments will restore your sex life regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. Plus, you'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients will have their testosterone checked free. Call 904-902-8222. 904-902-8222. To regain your sex life in just one visit, call now. 904-902-8222.
Prosser here. As you may or may not know by now, I did the research and decided to go with Jack's Concrete Coatings for my garage floor. OMG, as the kids would say. I can't begin to tell you how good it looks, how happy we are. We brag on it anytime someone walks in the garage. They had the job finished in one day with a lifetime warranty. That's right. As the certified Pintech dealer for North Florida, the only company offering pure polyurea, I can't wait to do my patio deck next. Call 862-2000. That's the number, 862-2000, or jacksconcretecoatings.com.
Hey folks, Curtis Dvorak here. Are you a golfer, a pickleball player, or a concert lover? Well, if you said yes to any of those, join me for the first ever Patriot Games on Saturday, September 21st at the Yards in Ponte Vedra. All proceeds benefit Operation New Uniform, which is a transition training program for service members, veterans, and military spouses. For more information, visit onuvets.org. That's onuvets.org. Hope to see you there.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Let's go! Help cheer your Sharks on to victory as they battle the Green Bay Blizzards in exciting IFL football action this Saturday, July 13th, 7 o'clock in the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Now, check out our new family pack. You get 4 tickets, 4 vouchers, and a $25 Al's Pizza gift card. It's a great deal. To purchase yours or to get more information, call 904-621-0700. And ho, ho, ho! Who's ready for Christmas in July?
A little Christmas music, maestro?
Whether you're on the naughty or nice list, come out and support your Sharks. You never know, you might get a chance to say hi to Santa.
It's almost Christmas.
All we want for Christmas is a Sharks win. Check out our post-game autograph session and see if the players and dancers are asking for the same present as you.
Let's go!
Don't miss the fun and excitement of Sharks football this Saturday, July 13th. For tickets, go to jacksharks.com or call 621-0700. That's 904-621-0700. Let's go!
Let's go!
Right now, you may be running a little late, or feeling stressed, or overwhelmed, and you may be going a bit over the speed limit. So to help you relax, exhale. Ease up on the gas. You'll get there when you get there. Take a moment to just chill. This little break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
9 o'clock hour has arrived. Hacker After Dark. We'll take you up till 10 o'clock as we do every night here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. Coming up here in the 9 o'clock hour, towards the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour, we will go to Charlotte, North Carolina to wrap up our NFC South previews. We've already made stops in Atlanta, in Tampa, and in New Orleans. Tonight, Charlotte. Alex Zetlow of the Charlotte Observer will join us. He's one of our guys up there covering the Carolina Panthers. We'll talk about Canales, the brand new head coach, about Bryce Young, the second-year quarterback, and all points in between. For Carolina, people still think they're in the midst of a rebuild. It all is going to come down to Bryce Young. Of course, they did add K'Lavon Chaisson, which might do wonders for that defense, of course. But we will talk Carolina Panthers as our NFC South preview wraps up this evening. Coming up next, we'll talk a little NBA. You know, Michael Pena of The Ringer, and he's covered the NBA for years for many different outlets, many different publications. Michael's one of my favorites. He wrote an article, I believe, Tuesday night or Wednesday morning on TheRinger.com saying the Orlando Magic were the clear winners of the offseason. The Orlando Magic are poised to make an Oklahoma City-type jump in 2024. Obviously, Michael, who covered the NBA and has covered the NBA for a long time, is unbelievably high on the Orlando Magic. So we'll talk Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, and what the Magic have done this offseason. We'll also look around the rest of the NBA free agent moves from Klay Thompson to Paul George as well. So a little association talk on a Thursday. Michael Penna, TheRinger.com, comes up next. Hacker After Dark on a Thursday with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. It's 1010XL, and it's 92.5 FM.
There's a new one-stop shop for all things Jags. Subscribe to the 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel. One-on-one interviews with players, practice footage, podcasts, and more. If you're looking for the best Big Cat coverage around, look no further. 1010XL Jaguars on YouTube. Baloo here for Smoonez Vision. Why Smoonez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smoonez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smoonez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smoonez is fellowship trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmoonezVision.com today. Care you can see.
Hun, the drain really smells.
Yeah, wow, it does.
I think it's getting backed up. What should we do? Did you just quack like a duck?
Yes, I did. Duck Rooter, your plumbing pros in Northeast Florida. Need help with a plumbing issue at your home or business? Just call the Duck.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or MattDadJacksonville.com.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
July 11, 1914, future Baseball Hall of Fame slugger Babe Ruth makes his MLB debut as a pitcher for the Boston Red Sox. Earns a 4-3 win against Cleveland.
Hey folks, it's Mike Dempsey for Pella Windows and Doors. Now you probably heard me mention that errant golf ball that led us to replace our windows. And obviously, if I'm investing in my home's appearance and comfort, I want the best. Well, now my new Pella windows are installed and they look fantastic. And we've already noticed a difference in outside noise reduction and energy savings. So if you need to replace your windows or doors, visit my friends at the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway or check them out online at PellaJacks.com. That's Pella Windows and Doors.
Dave and Ammon here with Zero Res. So Ammon, you have worked for Zero Res since you were 9 years old. What makes Zero Res the right choice for cleaning carpets and tile?
I can think of 3 simple reasons. We have the best process, the best people, and our promise to do the best cleaning possible every time.
So what deals does Zero Res offering for this month?
July is National Carpet Cleaning Month, so for home carpet cleaning, we're offering $49 per room, and for businesses, we're offering 20% off.
Sounds like a great time to get your carpets cleaned. Zero Res.
Spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
If you're a veteran, listen up. Did you know that you can access up to 100% of your home's equity right now? Hey, Prosser here. You can do it with Loan Pronto's VA Equity Advantage program. You can get 30, 50, 100 grand or more and use that money to pay off all those credit cards, personal loans, car loans, or maybe use the cash to do that home improvement project. Veterans love working with Loan Pronto because they make it easy. No junk fees, no hassle. They can unlock that cash in your home's equity in a matter of weeks. Don't keep paying insane rates on credit cards. There's a smarter alternative with Loan Pronto. Get more info and start the process now at loanpronto.com. Or if your current VA loan rate is over 6.5%, Loan Pronto can get you in a streamlined refinance with a lower rate right now with no income verification and no appraisal. Lower your monthly payment big time. Loan Pronto makes it so easy for veterans. So call now, 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1666781, subject to lender approval.
Right now, you may be running a little late, or feeling stressed, or overwhelmed, and you may be going a bit over the speed limit. So to help you relax, exhale. Ease up on the gas. You'll get there when you get there. Take a moment to just chill. This little break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The NBA offseason rolling right along. A lot has changed, a lot of movement in free agency, and that includes down in Orlando the addition of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. The Magic have also extended Franz Wagner, maxing him out. A lot of good things happening down in Central Florida. With that, Michael Pina does a great job covering the NBA for The Ringer, and he joins us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Michael, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
Hey, Michael, we're good. Thank you for the time. One of your latest pieces on The Ringer there in the NBA world is focusing on Orlando and how you think they're already one of the winners of the offseason. We'll break down the moves individually in a moment, Michael, but just a mile-high view, your thoughts on what Orlando has been able to accomplish here over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, as one of the better young teams in the entire NBA, you saw the beginnings of a breakout last season where they're a top four seed for most of the regular season. They get into the playoffs as a fifth seed. They're very competitive in the first round against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Could have easily won that series if there's some better shot making in that game 7. Obviously, they had the lead and the big lead in the first half. And, they come out of it and they learned a lot about themselves, and they obviously like a lot of what they saw. They re-sign a whole bunch of their own players. They clearly value continuity. They value their development track. And bringing in KCP from the Denver Nuggets, which is just, I could not think more highly of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope as a winning player in the NBA. He does all the little things that you need to win at the highest level. He's proven that multiple times throughout his career. So to get him, there's the on-court value with the three-point shooting and just all these different ways that he can unclog their offense. And then just the off-court value, which I think is something that is not quantifiable, but will be seen just in terms of someone whose winning habits, winning ways will infuse the younger core and the younger players who haven't broken through quite and had as much playoff success as KCP has had in his career. So I think it's just a wonderful offseason for them. A lot of direction here and just real nice intention from the front office of knowing what they wanted and going out and getting it.
I completely agree with you. And what's interesting, and Michael Pina of The Ringer here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville, what's interesting is kind of the local vibe I've gotten on the Magic. People were dreaming big about Klay Thompson and Paul George. And me personally, Michael, I'm happy the Magic did not go that route. I'm much happier with KCP and still developing the younger talent, which is the direction they ultimately went. What's your message to Magic fans in our area that wanted, say, a Paul George or a Klay Thompson? Obviously, you think the KCP edition is just fine.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that KCP is a better player than Klay Thompson, straight up. So, yeah, I'll put that where it is, just defensively. I mean, putting him next to Suggs that's the second best defensive backcourt. Maybe there'll be stretches where they're the best defensive backcourt in the entire NBA. So, yeah, I think KCP is a really great player. When you compare him to someone like Paul George, I think he's obviously 2 or 3 years younger than PG is, and paying PG a 4-year, $212 million contract when you also have, Paolo's about to get a max or a super max extension that's going to be ridiculously expensive next summer. Franz, they gave him the max extension, $200+ million. Suggs is extension eligible. They have not come to an agreement with him yet, but I would assume that will happen at some point before the deadline strikes there. So they clearly value their core, and they like what they saw last year with everyone together. And, it's kind of rare in today's NBA to have continuity, have chemistry, and be able to keep everyone together for multiple years in a row. So as everyone is ascending. So I just think this was a really smart way to go about team building. And as currently constructed, forget about the future, which is, I think they're a couple years away from actual championship contention. But right now they're, in the regular season, it would not shock me if they finished with the first or second best record in the entire Eastern Conference. That's how good this team is.
And we see it happen quick. You saw it in Oklahoma City this past year. They were the 1 seed in the West. And like you said, I don't know if I'm willing to go that far coming into this season beginning in October, but the team went from, 22 wins to 34 wins to 47 wins. The ascension has been dramatic. Now Banchero with experience in the playoffs, Wagner with experience in the playoffs, Suggs as well. And we really haven't seen a healthy Jonathan Isaac. Jonathan Isaac played, 10, 12, 14 minutes. He was getting more minutes down the stretch. He looks like he's the healthiest he's been in quite some time. You add Isaac into the fold with Wendell Carter Jr. There is a ton of young talent on this Magic basketball team.
Yeah, the defense, in terms of just as a young team, knowing your identity and embracing a playing style that accentuates everyone's strengths, they found that last year with their defense. So you mentioned Wendell Carter, really good defensive big man. Kind of coming into the NBA a few years ago, he was compared to Al Horford. And he's kind of shown that when healthy in the NBA, that type of potential. And Isaac, there's this statistic, estimated plus minus, that is like a catch-all metric that just kind of measures out your impact on the defensive end, offensive end, et cetera. And for defensive estimated plus minus, Jonathan Isaac ranked first in the entire NBA last season. He's minute to minute, possession to possession, probably the best defender in the world. The only question is how many minutes can he actually play? And so we saw a glimpse of that last year, as you said, particularly after the All-Star break, when he also shot the ball really well. He's a real dead-eye corner three-point shooter. And so if he can stay healthy and give you at some point throughout the extension that he just signed, 25, maybe even 30 minutes a game, that's really, really a scary presence, because he can guard literally every position, and he's also one of the better help defenders in basketball. So defensively, this team is an absolute monster, and that's kind of where they hang their hat and why I'm so optimistic about them in the short and long term.
Couple of more from Michael Penna of The Ringer, joining us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville, talking Orlando Magic and the NBA off-season. Michael, we talk so much about big threes, right? Going back to LeBron, Bosh, and Wade, and you can, move on down the line year after year after year, the big three. But I'm not sure how many big threes have been made in-house, meaning you draft all your guys. It's normally in free agency that you put big threes together. And I don't know if Suggs, Wagner, and Banchero would classify as a big three yet, but you find 3 guys on the same team, all 22 years old or younger right now. I don't know if there was a better trio that fits that criteria in the NBA than what the Magic have in Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, and Jalen Suggs.
Yeah, for sure. I think that they've drafted extremely well. They nailed the Paolo Banchero pick. There was talk heading into that draft that, Jabari Smith Jr., who went to the Houston Rockets and hasn't had that type of impact there was going to go number one. So they nailed that pick. They get someone who's 6'10", 250, can handle the ball, great touch, and improving like by the month. So he made his first All-Star team last season, and he's not even 22 years old. And Franz had obviously a disappointing game 7. He goes 1 for 15 shooting the ball, but I thought he made strides in just about every area of his game last year. He's also 6'10", can get to the cup without spacing around him. So it's kind of going to be really fun to see how much better he and Paolo are in an offense that has KCP on the court. Kind of loosening things up a little bit with his reliable and respected three-point shot. And Suggs is another guy who in his first 2 years just wasn't able to stay healthy. And I thought that was the big thing holding him back. And so last year he stays healthy for the most part, and he embraces the defensive end just entirely. He's not worried about running the show as a nominal point guard. He's not worried about his shots. He's not really worried about anything but pushing it in transition, finding teammates, and guarding 94 feet, the other team's best player. And his three-point percentage also went up last year, which is a really, really fortunate sign for him, the trajectory of his career, the trajectory of this entire Orlando Magic organization. That's a huge component. So if he can continue to shoot the ball, if Paolo shoots the ball a little bit better and is a little bit more efficient, and if Franz's three-point shot ticks up to a league average rate, which I think is definitely feasible, then these three guys are they're hellacious to go up against.
Michael, as we begin to wrap up, the Magic, the depth on this team, right? I assume the starters right now, Suggs, Banchero, Wagner, KCP, and Wendell Carter Jr. And then you go Jonathan Isaac, you go Cole Anthony, you go Gary Harris, you go Goga Batadze and Mo Wagner. We haven't even mentioned Anthony Black and Jet Howard, 2 lottery picks in the 23 draft. I mean, they just got a lot of guys, and I know that they've been able to do a lot of this because of rookie contracts. Obviously, that's no longer the case with Franz. Are you surprised they were able to keep all these guys? The Gary Harris thing shocked me. He's obviously not going to be a starter, yet he wants to remain in Orlando as a bench role player, which I thought was big for the Magic.
Yeah, getting him back at that dollar amount, $7.5 million, I think, this season, and the same amount the following year. Goga's contract is really good. Mo Wagner's contract is very team friendly. And Isaac's extension as well, which is I think has potential. People are kind of painting it as somewhat of a risk because they see the big dollar amount. I think it's 84 or 85 million over 5 years. And I see that as just, it's not all guaranteed, first of all, and it's also descending annually. So I think that is potential to be, if he can stay healthy, one of the better contracts in the entire NBA. And so when you talk about the depth, it's all about how well that they've drafted. I mean, it's getting Cole Anthony at the number that they got him at. He's also ascending. And Anthony Black is another player who they drafted, who I really liked what I saw from him last year when he started the season in the starting lineup because Markelle Fultz was hurt. And, I don't know if you mentioned him, but yeah, Tristan da Silva, who's older.
Exactly, the first-round pick. I didn't even mention him. Right.
Yeah, he can really shoot the ball. He's super smart, great size, and he's older than, I think, everyone in their young core. I think he's older than Suggs. He's older than Paolo. He's older than Franz. So that's just a really intriguing guy who can plug and play and might be in the rotation playing heavy minutes from day one. We'll see. That's a really intriguing addition here that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. So if he can shoot the ball and if he can defend multiple positions, then I don't know, I think I might be even short selling them in the short term. Really a lot of depth, a lot of talent, and you just have to like the direction and how this team was constructed.
And by the way, the Magic have 2 first-round picks in 2025 as well, as if they needed more talent to go on this roster. Michael, final question from a league-wide view. Paul George to Philadelphia, Klay Thompson to Dallas. We see DeRozan to Sacramento. Some trades, obviously Bridges to New York and Murray to New Orleans. A lot of moves have been made. The biggest one or two to you that have reshaped the NBA in the last couple of weeks?
I think, obviously, Paul George going to the Philadelphia 76ers is a humongous one. I'm a huge PG fan. I think his talent speaks for itself. He's one of the most decorated individuals in NBA history. And so if he can stay healthy and Embiid can stay healthy, that's just a really intimidating two-way basketball team. They might be a little top-heavy. We'll see. And they're not, they have the injury question about them, and they'll have a lot of pressure because the window is not open forever there, despite the 4-year contract. So I think there's some risk there, but I think that, in terms of just talent, a lot of people think talent wins the day, and it may. That's a big signing there. And then, to be honest with you, I know I'm on your show, but I just think that the KCP signing is transformational for the Orlando Magic. I think they would have been pretty good regardless and could have knocked on the door of a 50-win season here just because of the internal growth. But I just think his impact is so myriad and so perfect for what this team really needed. And it's a two-way transaction in my eyes because I think that the Denver Nuggets will be really hurt by KCP's loss. He was a real critical linchpin in one of, if not the best starting fives in the entire NBA over the last 2 years. So that's a real big loss for them and a huge addition for the Orlando Magic.
And every Denver loss last year is great for Orlando because Orlando owns that pick going back to the Aaron Gordon deal a few years ago. So we will see what happens with Denver and Orlando. Michael, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville about the Ringer, the NBA coverage, and what you have coming up there in the coming days and weeks.
Yeah, sure. Head on over to theringer.com. We're covering Team USA basketball. We're covering the rest of the off season, and there's a lot more to chew on. So head on over there, and then the Ringer Podcast Network. We got a ton of wonderful NBA and other sports and other pop culture stuff over there. So check us out.
Michael Pena of the Ringer. Michael, always enjoy the conversation. I know you're busy, man. Thank you, and we'll do it again soon.
Thank you.
Jaguars, Gators, Seminoles. Jacksonville's football station, 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Hacker here with a little nugget for you. I just took my wedding ring off for the first time in 9 years. No, there's not trouble in paradise. Get this. My wedding ring was falling off. I've lost so much weight, my ring couldn't keep up. But hold up. I'm not resisting it just yet. Why? Because I'm still losing weight with Awaken 180. Down 75 pounds so far, and every week the scale shows a lighter number. Once I do reach my goal weight, however, that's when I'll resize that sucker and put it back on for good. I say for good because the weight stays off with Awaken 180. It's a lifestyle change, or should I say a lifestyle enhancer. That's combined with free support for life, and I'm confident I'll keep the weight off like all the other Awaken 180 clients. Mike Dempsey and Matt Hayes still receive free support when they need it, and yep, the weight has stayed off on them. The stories aren't stories. They're real accounts. What's stopping you? Go online, awaken180weightloss.com.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
you could win your share of over $450,000 in cash and prizes at the 5-Star Greater Jacksonville Kingfish Tournament. The fun starts July 13th with the inaugural kickoff beach tournament with a $50,000 cash first prize. There's a junior offshore tournament and one for the lady anglers. Best of all, the general offshore tournament winner takes home a 28T contender with twin 200 Yamahas. Register today at kingfishtournament.com.
Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Danny Dreamfinders. For a limited time, on select move-in ready homes, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 3.99% interest rate in year one of your mortgage. Now is your chance to lock down the rate. You heard me right. 3.99% offer in year one. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser start the week by giving the ball to the best back in Duval.
And off, Fred Taylor.
Monday morning running back with Fred Taylor is fueled by Epstein and Robbins DUI defense firm on 1010XL.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and now that you have Honda boats on the showroom floor, tell them about the big boat sale.
We are excited. We got a big sale, 11th through 13th. You want to come on down, see us in person. Some of our boats are going to be up to $30,000 off.
Up to $30,000 off?
$30,000 in savings. It's a big sale event.
So they can start shopping online at cyclesofjacksonville.com. The size of the boats?
Anywhere from 19 to 24 foot, all with legendary Honda outboards.
Honda and Coach, check them both out on Atlantic near Regency. Cycles of Jacksonville.
Now that's what I call high-quality H2O.
If you want high-quality water in your home at a fair price that won't scare you to death, then talk to someone who knows water and is not a pushy salesman. Contact your local water boy, Keith. I install premium equipment and can repair or even rebuild your existing system. In a business known for aggressive sales tactics, let me show you how my approach is different. If you've got any water problems, contact the water boy at waterboyjack.com.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist is now offering ortho walk-in appointments. If you have an immediate need for orthopedic care, contact Southeast Orthopedic Specialist immediately. Avoid ERs and urgent care waiting rooms. For more information, go to se-ortho.com.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Let's go! Help cheer your Sharks on to victory as they battle the Green Bay Blizzards in exciting IFL football action this Saturday, July 13th, 7 o'clock in the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Now, check out our new family pack. You get 4 tickets, 4 vouchers, and a $25 Al's Pizza gift card. It's a great deal. To purchase yours or to get more information, call 904-621-0700. And ho, ho, ho! Who's ready for Christmas in July?
A little Christmas music, maestro?
Whether you're on the naughty or nice list, come out and support your Sharks. You never know, you might get a chance to say hi to Santa.
It's almost Christmas.
All we want for Christmas is a Sharks win. Check out our post-game autograph session and see if the players and dancers are asking for the same present as you.
Let's go!
Don't miss the fun and excitement of Sharks football this Saturday, July 13th. For tickets, go to jacksharks.com or call 621-0700. That's 904-621-0700.
Let's go. Let's go.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us as our NFC South preview continues. We will make stops in Atlanta, in New Orleans, and in Tampa Bay tonight. It's all about the Carolina Panthers, a brand new head coach in Carolina, a couple of new weapons on the offensive side of the ball, and will Bryce Young take that jump from year one to year two? All questions we will ask Alex Zetlow of the Charlotte Observer. He's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Alex, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Ryan. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Hey, Alex, I know you're busy, man. Thank you for the time as we're all getting ready for training camp in a couple of weeks. All right, last year, certainly Bryce Young heard a lot of the criticism, I'm sure. We'll get to the new head coach and the other facets of Carolina in a moment. But you see Bryce Young every day with OTAs, minicamp, etc. Do you feel that he's a different quarterback now than he was at the end of the year?
I don't think he's a different quarterback. But the good news for Carolina Panthers fans is, according to Dave Canales, he doesn't want a different quarterback. Bryce Young is who he wants. A lot of quotes were made up early in the NFL scouting combine, and really since Dave was introduced, Dave made it very clear there is no plan to fix Bryce Young. He is still the number 1 overall pick that a lot of scouts had faith in, like literally at this time last year and a little bit before that. He is still super creative. He, like, the moments of him dazzling and running around defensive linemen and juking out, secondary people and then using his brain to manipulate the field at Alabama, they're not that far into the rearview mirror, and at least as far as Dave Canales is concerned. So when you ask the question, is Bryce a different quarterback, I say no. However, what is different? The pieces that are around him are different. Among them, Deontay Johnson, this guy from Pittsburgh who has a chip on his shoulder, who's really speedy, has separation power, is among the best route runners in the league, or at least that's what people say about him. You got Adam Thielen, who was really a staple at the slot position last year. Adam obviously had a career year, and even though he was quite the veteran last year, and I think hopefully I have this right, I think he is also going to be the oldest wide receiver in the league this year, and he's just coming off of a 103 reception season. And then you also add via the draft, you got Xavier Legette in the first round, who is this guy who's been compared to DK Metcalf, who is just big, strong, fast, had a remarkable year for the South Carolina Gamecocks last year. He's also a local guy. So a lot of receiving weapons have been added around Bryce Young. And then importantly, the interior offensive line has been upgraded as well, whether that's going out in free agency, getting Damian Lewis, going out in free agency, and getting Robert Hunt, and then obviously moving Austin Corbett from that right guard position to the center. And that in theory should make Bryce Young more comfortable in the pocket, give him some time to like make those windows that, shorter quarterbacks need, like Drew Brees, to really step up and fire. Bryce had really good numbers when he wasn't under pressure, and he was really accurate when he wasn't under pressure last year. So, of course, you're probably listening to this and being like, oh my gosh, is Bryce Young going to win the MVP? That is not what Alex Zetlow of the Charlotte Observer is saying. But what I am saying is that Dave Canales does not see a reason to change Bryce Young from the quarterback he was last year. It's about elevating everyone around him.
Alex, look, we're here in Jacksonville. We've obviously had our share of bad picks, and by no means am I calling Bryce Young a bad pick, but it was compounded by the fact that C.J. Stroud went to Houston and did what he did. So how much backlash, I guess, has there been among the fan base in Charlotte that they took Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud?
Oh, last year it got brutal at times, man. I'm sure that y'all in Jacksonville even heard it. Every time that C.J. Stroud had a good game, like, the Carolina market was like, oh my gosh, this is the guy we could have had. And obviously, for the reasons that I just spent a long time on in my last answer, it's not exactly fair. It's not a perfect comparison. And then also, it's also a factor of messaging, a product of messaging, I think. And I said this previously. The Panthers fan base was sold this idea that they were a quarterback away, from all their problems, that if Matt Rule had found the quarterback that he needed, the Panthers would have an explosive offense, that if the defense was really solid, had really promising receivers, so long as the Panthers had a quarterback, they'd be in a good quarterback, they'd be in good shape offensively. And the truth is that, yes, in some ways, however complex NFL football is, there is a simple coda. If you have a good quarterback, you are likely to have a good offense. However, when you mortgage so much of your future to get that number 1 overall pick, like as Peyton Manning says, if you're the number 1 overall pick, you earn the fact that you're the number 1 overall pick. But the team also earned getting that number 1 overall pick. In other words, there's a reason why they're picking first. And the Panthers the year before were 7-10, yes, before trading up. But they traded up with Chicago to get and let go of so much. Among that, DJ Moore, and among that, not getting a first-round pick this past year before Dan Morgan did his thing and got Xavier Legette and traded up in the first round, yada, 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 et cetera,
and keep in mind, for people that don't know, that first overall pick would have been Caleb Williams. So basically now, if it doesn't work out for Bryce Young, people are going to look at it and say, all right, you passed on C.J. Stroud for Bryce Young. You also potentially could have had Caleb Williams if not for the Bryce Young trade.
Absolutely. So this question of comparing quarterbacks, it is intriguing and it is compelling for people like us who like storylines and listen to the fan base intently and stuff like this. But I think there was a little bit of messaging last year where it was like, hey, Bryce is going to come and he's going to be our savior. And and if he falls short, well, we're not even going to address that because he won't fall short. And I think that was just a little – I just found that a little misleading, and, it obviously didn't turn out that way. So it was untrue. But like I said in my previous answer, he's still the guy that won a Heisman Trophy his first year starting at Alabama. He's still the guy who, led the Crimson Tide on a legendary 2-minute drill against Auburn. He's still that guy. It's a question of unlocking him. And Dave Canales, by the way, does have a history of rejuvenating quarterbacks. Take Geno Smith in Seattle. Take Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay. So hope does abound. But good vibes do spring eternal this spring. The question is, will that continue into training camp? Will that continue in the preseason? And, of course, will that continue in the season?
Couple more for Alex Zello, the Charlotte Observer, as our NFC South preview continues this week. Tonight, it's all about the Carolina Panthers. Alex, why Dave Canales? Why was he the right man for the job?
He is unrelentingly positive. He is very good at, articulating his story, as in his personal story, but also his coaching story. How he cares about people's lives outside of football, which is a big deal. That's something that players have talked a lot about. He's bringing in his own staff. Last year, you're kind of getting, with this coaching staff, you're kind of getting the opposite of what Frank Reich brought in. Frank Reich was a grizzled veteran who has more experience calling no huddle plays than perhaps anyone in the NFL. He was a quarterback himself. He brought in staff, like kind of a superstar staff, composed of some people he's never worked with before. Thomas Brown, he met Thomas Brown in an interview, and Thomas Brown was the offensive coordinator for the Panthers last year. He met Thomas Brown in the interview. Also brought in E.J. Evero, and they didn't have a previous working relationship as well. So this year with Dave, he, on top of his youthful energy, on top of the fact that he's kind of known as a quarterback whisperer, he's bringing along everyone who he's worked with before. He cares a lot about the coaching staff, quote unquote, speaking the same language. He doesn't, in his coach speak way, he doesn't like synonyms. He wants people to see the game the way he sees it, articulate the game the way he wants it to be articulated. He's very clear about kind of that. And I think when you mix match all of that together and you get this cocktail of optimism, and which is good. The Panthers fan base deserves some optimism. But again, as you know, Ryan, we just finished OTAs. We haven't put on the pads yet. We haven't gone against the Panthers haven't gone against other teams yet. That's when you'll start to actually see signs of how good this team could actually be. But for right now, there's no reason not to love David Canales.
Final moments, Alex Zello of the Charlotte Observer. Alex, in the time that we have left, you mentioned Deontay Johnson. He comes in from Pittsburgh. Obviously, that appears to be a huge upgrade. You add him to Adam Thielen. How would you assess the skill position coming into the year?
I think it's a lot better than last year. I think you got some guys. If you were just a casual observer of this Panthers offense last year, you'd watch the tape and you'd be like, why aren't the Panthers stretching the field more? Why aren't they just trying to throw deep more? And I think they've really tried to rectify that this past offseason with Xavier Legette and Deontay Johnson. And of course, Adam Thielen, he had a renaissance last year. So I think those are positives. Another skill position to watch this year will be the running back room. It's quite crowded right now. You got Chuba Hubbard, who's going to be the expected starter. He had a fantastic year last year after kind of battling injury his first couple seasons, an injury history that a lot of people didn't really know of until he talked about it last year. And then at the number 2 spot, you got Miles Sanders, who is on an expensive contract and who kind of underperformed last year. But the front office, Dan Morgan, Dave Canales, they love Miles Sanders, and they're also going to be stubborn about running the ball. And then, of course, you drafted your running back of the future in Jonathan Brooks out of Texas. So skill positions, it's tough because, like I said, at this point in the year, everything seems positive, but skill positions did get upgraded a lot. The interior offensive line did get better. Did the offense get better at the expense of the defense from a personnel perspective? Yeah, but the defense's scheme last year was remarkable, and they held on to Derek Brown. They got a guy in Jadeveon Clowney. I mean, I'm kind of just listing off names here, but on offense, skill positions did get better, and it's tough to see that the offense won't make at least a marginal gain this year.
Alex, give us 60 seconds. You mentioned Derek Brown, Jadeveon Clowney. What about that Panthers defense coming into the year?
I think it'll be really good. I think it has a chance to be great. Jadeveon Clowney, obviously, he's a great pass rusher, but he's also a great run stopper. He lost a lot of big name talent in Brian Burns, but if J.C. Horn in the secondary can stay healthy, the secondary will be stout. The pass rush should be pretty good. Defensive line is held down by Derek Brown. I mean, I feel like I'm a walking advertisement for the Panthers right here, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not going out and choosing them to win the NFC South or anything. But does Alex think that the Panthers will be a lot better this year than they were last year? Yeah, I think that's safe to say.
Alex Zello of the Charlotte Observer. Alex, final thought. I've been all over the division this week, and the vibe I've gotten, Atlanta thinks they're much improved with Cousins. Tampa Bay is the defending champion, plus they got a couple of guys that got paid this offseason, so they're happy. New Orleans is kind of a question mark, and truthfully, a lot of people think Carolina is still in the midst of a rebuild. Do you think Carolina, and you cover them every day, do you think they will be better than some others think?
I do think they'll be better than some others think. Of course, it's tough to tell in today's world what everyone thinks because you hop on social media, you think that the Panthers are either a disaster or they're on the come up. I'm sure in sports radio, it's similar. Like you don't really get that mild in between. But when it comes to stacking the teams in the NFC South, like I said before, I don't see the Panthers taking the NFC South title this year. But will they be more competitive? Will they be a 2-15 league worst record like they were last year? No, I don't see that. I see meaningful progress. And then when it all comes down to the NFC South, that comes down to matchups. What do the Atlanta Falcons look like? What does their offense look like now? When it comes to the New Orleans Saints, what does that look like? I mean, there are a lot of moving parts in this division. So we're just going to have to kind of wait and see how it plays out in the regular season, or at least the first couple weeks of the regular season, so we can truly tell who these teams are. But to your question, will the Panthers be better? Unequivocally, yes.
Alex Zetlow of the Charlotte Observer here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville talking Carolina Panthers. Alex, appreciate it, man. Enjoy the rest of the offseason. We are just mere weeks away from training camp and starting the gauntlet that is the 2024 NFL season. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Ryan.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
And thank you to Alex Zetlow of the Charlotte Observer for joining us here to round out our NFC South previews this week. We have made stops in Atlanta, in Tampa, in New Orleans, and tonight it was all about the Carolina Panthers. Obviously a big year for Bryce Young. That goes without saying. He needs to look a lot better, considerably better than he did a year ago. And we'll see what happens. Not a lot is expected of Carolina. Could they surprise some people? Well, we will certainly wait and see. But we did a ton tonight here on Hacker After Dark. Our NFC South previews wrapped up. Michael Pena of The Ringer joined us. He had a really good piece on the Orlando Magic winning the NBA offseason. If you're an Orlando fan, go check that piece out at The Ringer covering the NBA. We obviously talked with Brent Beard, a little college football as SEC Media Days kicks off next week in Dallas. And Cody Benjamin of CBSSports.com stopped by to talk Jaguars, AFC South, and more. Well, that'll just about do it for what has been a very busy Thursday night here on Hacker After Dark. Again, we have a ton of people to thank for tonight's broadcast. Alex Zetlow of the Charlotte Observer, Michael Pena of The Ringer. Again, Brent Beard, you see him every week on First Coast News. You also get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. And my buddy Cody Benjamin of CBSSports.com. That'll also wrap it up for the week. We are on vacation starting basically in less than 5 minutes. Off to Orange Beach, Alabama. I'll be out tomorrow and all of next week. We will return on Monday, the 22nd of July, and then training camp is here. The Jaguars report the 23rd. They're on the field the 24th. So the next time I talk to you guys, we will be on the doorstep of Jaguar training camp. That is absolutely hard to believe, but hope you guys have a fantastic week ahead. And again, we will be back on Monday night, July the 22nd. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. Enjoy your little vacay as well, my friend. I'm the hacker, Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending not only part of your Thursday evening with us here, but your entire week with us on Hacker After Dark.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist.